Welcome back. This is day 14, 15-ish. I don't know in what order I'm going to post these. But today, we're going to finish whatever pattern I started on this leg. It looks like a faded out blackout background. It's not, which I don't mind that, but it's actually a bunch of tiny circles that when I first started tattooing, had no knowledge that they like blow out, you know? But in blowing out, here, let me just start to show you. Maybe I should just unwrap this. In blowing out, they created like a background to everything, and it just looks grayed out, blacked out, and I wasn't mad about it. In fact, I stopped doing it back then. Wow, I wrapped this like 10,000 times. Okay, it's gonna have to be cut right here. So I'm just basically continuing that today. I had started it years ago, way back when I probably first started tattooing, like I said, and I stopped working on it because, let me see if I can angle this down more. So in angling the camera down more, which I achieved, I stopped recording. So all I was saying was in that segment, I just took off my numbing cream, wiped down the area with some alcohol, and I was explaining that this leg is a hot mess. Like anything and everything I could have doodled is in this general area. And I'm not mad about it. I know maybe this doesn't look appealing to everyone, but these are a lot of good memories. It was a lot of fun. My oldest doodled a lot on, you know, this side of my leg, and it was a lot of learning experience. So I'm just trying to like drop in a background in that area. I remember starting the background, and it was just like I had mentioned, tiny little circles kind of looped into each other, which bled out into a blob, which now looks like a grayed out background. So we're gonna see and continue that. And I don't know what I just caught on film. I can't remember what I said in the first segment, but I might just be quiet. I might continue to talk. I haven't decided. I'm gonna say I said this at the beginning, I'm on day like 15 now, and it's insane to tattoo every single day of the month. It is crazy. So it's been a really cool experience so far. I'm about halfway through, but I don't know. I'll have to reflect on it again at the end of the month and let you guys know. But it has been so interesting to like introduce it as something in my life that I look at every single day. And I don't honestly know how I feel about it yet. Okay, I figured that out. I was actually unplugged. I'm gonna start. I'll just start here. Probably be the most comfortable to start. I will zoom in on this at some point during filming. And since there's such a large space, let me like turn enough. So I'm starting right there. Since there's such a large space, I don't know if I'll film all of this. It's going to be pretty repetitive. And I don't know if anybody's interested in that. So let's just see where this video goes. I just know I've been putting this off for a really long time. And I have wanted to fill this space in. I remember starting this pattern when I did decide to do it, and it was super like therapeutic at the time in my life because I was just creating these tiny little circles repetitively, and I just stuck to it, and then it created an entire background, and I just know I wasn't mad about it. Kind of what introduced me to like knowing that I could fill in space on myself with not just actual pictures, you know. I could just create different ideas on myself. See, this is how some of them still look. I don't know, it just looks so weird and like geometric, when in reality it's just like doodling on your notebook, but I'm doing it to my body. So there's that. I also like that there's just no stencil for this. I can just kind of go with the flow of where things lay, and I don't mind that either. I do know that's not for everybody. I do know that this looks like insanity. I'm aware of that. But I also don't care for things to be perfect or I'm also so excited to have this done for summertime. A lot of the times I just ignored tattooing through like winter. I don't know why, but then I get the urge to tattoo during summer. Well, during summer you're swimming and you're at the river and the lake, and you just either miss out on those things or you don't get the tattooing. So this will be nice to have everything like filled in and tattooed this summer, also healed. So I'm excited for that because there's just been a lot of, like I've mentioned in other videos, a lot of odd space that I've wanted to fill in over the years. So it's like, I feel like I'm set up on the opposite side, but it's basically just like filling in these little gaps. And I would zoom in, but I'm not going to do that right this second. So we'll see how far in I get to this. Plus, zooming in is going to just be a free-for-all, because I can tell you this design and layout is not going to have a huge fan club. It kind of reminds me of like even pointillism, you know, where you do like the tiny dots to create an overall image. So this looks like blurred out blobs, but looking up close, you can see that they're tiny little circles within circles within circles. But you wouldn't see that from afar. This one on my leg right here, I am set up so strange. Let me move the camera around. Okay, so let's try right here. This one here, so on this little, it's all blended together. I don't even know if you can see it. But right here, there's this little floral arrangement. And that was the first thing I'd ever tattooed on myself. So I had practiced on the fake skin. And don't let me fool you, I did that for like 5 minutes. So I practiced on the fake skin. I was like, no, this is not for me. And then I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to look up how to put a stencil on your skin, and then I'm going to just tattoo myself. And my husband was like, oh, wow, that's a really not a good idea. And I was like, no, it'll be fine. And so I looked up on YouTube tutorials, and it was like, it's hysterical. It's not hysterical. And I would not advise anybody to do this. I'm not telling anybody to go do this. I'm just telling you my experience. But I did the speed stick, slap it on, put your stencil down. Like, it's kind of funny to see how far into the process I am now with learning and like not making those mistakes and looking back and going, oh my goodness, I have made like a lot of investments and a lot of changes, you know. But anyway, I put the stencil on. It was like half visible on there, and I just started tattooing. Well, at that time, my office was in our basement, and I also had my head shaved. So I was on, my husband just like walks downstairs, and I'm sitting at the table, all set up, tattooing my leg just like this, set up exactly the same way I had it like on a coffee table. And he has a video of me. I'm pretty certain I actually had on like Birkenstock sandals and socks, and I'm just tattooing my leg with my shaved head in the basement. Sounds all of that sounds like a disclaimer to just like don't do those things. But in my opinion, I'm now looking back, what it was at 2020. So now it's 2025. I'm looking back going, wow, I've grown a lot from that. I have researched a lot. I have made so many changes in how I tattoo, you know? And so I know that sounds like a horror story. And like I said, I'm not promoting that. I'm not telling you to go buy a tattoo kit and tattoo your face hole. I'm just saying my experience looking back was pretty not okay. But I did get that on my leg, and I do remember just like, I was already a heavily tattooed individual at this point, mind you. Like, my arms were done. I'm not sure how far in I was. I was pretty heavily tattooed though. And man, that's weird to think back to. I'm not really sure. Did I even have my chest yet? I don't know. But anyway, I was pretty heavily tattooed, and I got this one small tattoo on my leg, and I just was like, yeah, I did that. And it's not cool. Like, thinking back, it was not cool. Like, I did not do anything right. I completely winged it. I was always very, like, weirded out by the hygiene of it, like cleaning everything and being safe in that manner. Now, I did over the years upgrade, like, with the covers and things like that, because obviously just starting out, I was just doing that to myself. And of course I was worried. I know the danger in it, but I don't know. It's like one of those stories where you go somewhere and you just get a random tattoo. I don't know if anybody has those stories, but anyway, that's my experience. And then I later, after my husband was like, wow, that's a horrible idea, I later ended up tattooing him. I ended up tattooing his chest. He has 2 on his chest from me. And I ended up having to go back in and touch him up. I really struggled in the beginning, which I don't know if anybody can relate to this. I struggled, I'm saying, for the first year of tattooing with how my needle to skin depth was so off. Like, I would just be thinking I was killing it. I was knocking out these tattoos. I'm going to try to position myself a little bit more so I am turned towards you doing this. Okay, well, okay, we're gonna try that again. But I thought I was killing it, right? I was just like, yeah, this is amazing. Like, I am just knocking these tattoos out. I'm gonna change my gloves. Here's back to that just being creeped out scenario. I'm going to change my gloves because I just touched like 47 things. I'm not retouching my leg that's open. But I struggled so badly. I would do a tattoo and I would go back to the piece when it was healed and it was all gone. There was like 2 lines. You could see the faded. You could see the faded from before, where I had tattooed, but it was not good. And I really struggled with that for a minute. That was another thing, like, I know the fake skin, and also I am not telling you to bypass fake skin. There is a reason that they make fake skin. You are supposed to practice on that. Just because I'm a psycho does not mean that you should bypass your learning on the fake skin. I'm just saying that my brain just comprehends things so much better when I kind of like force myself into something. So when I started the fake skin, I was like, man, I don't feel like I'm personally learning anything. And so I just started on myself. I wanted to know, like, how does that feel? Where is my needle? Like, it was just, I don't know. Basically, where I was going with all that was I really struggled with how far in my needle was going. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Some days I have days where I don't struggle with the depth, but I will like do a piece and wipe it clean and be like, oh, that's not really in the skin. Like you can see it, you know? And I have gotten so much better over the years, but I still go back and touch up. I don't know if everybody, like, you know, when you go to an artist, they go, come back and get a touch up if you need a touch up. So I don't know if that's a normal thing, but it is sometimes frustrating for me because, you know, I don't want to have to do a touch up on somebody. I want them to be like done with the work. But also I know it's a healing process, like how people take care of their tattoos. But you know, ultimately it starts with how it's put on you. And I'm just learning more and more how to do that. Also, I've been watching a lot of shorts on shading techniques. I posted a shading video before this, and I'm just so frustrated with shading. So frustrated to the point that like I just don't even attempt it because I look at my work and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I doubt myself a lot with that for some reason, when all I know I need to do is practice like you would with anything. But I did look up, there's like a stippling method that I really liked, and you just like, it's basically like pointillism as well, and you know, you stipple it out, and you also use a much smaller needle, which I think I would be more comfortable. I really think I get overwhelmed when it comes to like the fatter, like just thicker needle size. I don't feel like that's a style for me. I also don't feel like solid color is a style for me. And actually, if anybody has any advice on that, like, you just develop your own style as an artist, right? I shouldn't feel like the pressure to adapt to everyone's styles, right? You would come to, let's say in the future I do this eventually for a living or hobby, whatever it may turn into, but you would come to me for my style of tattoo, not because I can do every style of tattoo. Is that correct? Or is that the pressure behind it? Am I just making that up? Like, I don't know. I see all the traditional and I'm like, oh, well, I should have to know how to do that, right? But in looking at that, well, see, then that just sounds like I'm doing what I want to do. I don't know. I'm just rambling because my point of that is shading is just wild. I know for a fact I'm not getting both sides of this done. I've done this tiny little section, and so it's basically just these little like half moons. They've all bled out throughout my leg. I'm trying to ignore things that need touched up throughout my leg otherwise. And then I'm just going to continue that pattern pretty much throughout my whole leg. Here's this horrific, Just, this is you can judge that. That's okay. You can judge all this. My daughter drew this, my oldest at the time. I mean, oh yeah, it was that one, not this one. See, then I just started practicing. So, like, I did this guy, and I was like, oh, that was cool. Then I did this guy, which, I mean, these are horrific. They really are. But do you know what? I can't remember if I said this in the very beginning of the tattooing here on YouTube, was I feel like a sketchbook. So when you start your sketchbook, you draw not so great. But you know what? You still keep that sketchbook, right? Because when you start learning more techniques and you start getting better, you look back at that sketchbook and you go, wow, I have come so far in my learning how to sketch. So this is just my sketchbook that I carry around with me for the rest of my life. And yeah, that might sound delusional. And you might be thinking, just get some paper. And that's okay. That's a fair thought. But I just sit back and think of how I used to do these like so many years ago, and I don't know, it's just fun. I always have said that though, that I think the tattoos, I know as much as they sit on you and you see the, you know, results of the work, it's such a good memory. Like all my tattoo trips that my husband and I take, those are weekend trips, you know, and so yes, we're going to get the work done, but it's also like just these memories that, and you know, like one day when we look back on it and we're old and I'm like, oh, remember that time I tattooed you with a tattoo gun in our living room and you let me? I don't know, that's like the kind of stuff that's funny. Or you just look at why you got something in the moment, you know, why you chose to get something tattooed on you, what you might have been going through, or I don't know, how it made you feel. That's just personally how I feel about tattooing. It's just been like a huge part of a lot of things that I've processed through my life. And I know everyone maybe doesn't think that's like the healthiest way, but we all have our, you know, our ways. And this one, luckily, is just something artistic. And I've always loved art. I really thought I was going to knock out like such a huge section on my leg. Like, yeah, we're just going to knock this whole leg out today. No, I don't see that happening. I also know that this is like hiding his little legs and hiding him. Like down here there's an ant. And look, I mean, just look at the coloring and the shading in that. Ew. Sorry about that, even showing you this. But, I mean, I can always go back in and do him later. But I do like, this is another odd thing that might not be for everyone, but I kind of like that it looks like, this is going to sound so stupid. I'm just going to say it out loud. It's okay. But I like that my leg looks like a seek and find. Like you have to look into this disaster to even maybe remotely see what's going on. And even then you might be like, no, that's just not doing it for me. But I do like how everything looks kind of hidden. Okay, I think you guys pretty much get the idea. I'm definitely going to finish this and then, you know, let it sit for a couple days. It will be in a future video of how it heals. If I go, you know what, in all honesty, this is going to be a couple videos worth, possibly, or maybe I'll just continue it and then show you the result, because like I said, I would like to fill in this bottom part, and I'm not going to sit and bore you with the hours that that's going to take. So I will at some point update you on either how much I knocked out or what I decide with this section. But otherwise, I appreciate it if you've been here listening to this rambling, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye. Okay, I just want to show you how much I got done. I got this side done. Well, not done, but you know, I worked on that side. I got a lot of the middle done. And I got a good amount done right there. So, I hope that's picking up in the light. There we go. That's pretty much what I knocked out today. I started to feel every single bit of it, so I'm done. But I do feel like I knocked out a pretty good portion. And I'm going to continue this leg. Like, this is eventually all going to be filled in. So that's the goal, and yikes. See you on the next video. Okay.